And welcome back to another BobBlast. Hi, I'm Bob Burridge, and this one is all about, hey, I'm getting ready to have an open studio. You know, it happens in every community at least once a year, and I hope you get involved in your community too. It's a great time for you to show your studio. People are so curious. Who's that person that never leaves their house? And what do they do all day long? So this is a great opportunity for you to clean up your studio, get all your work up on the wall, and that way you get a chance to look at it yourself too. The community, the people, your neighbors are so curious about you and what you do. It's a great time. Besides, it's a great time to clean the floor in your studio too. And there are a couple of things that you should always do when you do an open studio, and please do them. You need to have one day where you don't paint and show everybody your beautiful place where you paint. Now, it doesn't have to be a fancy studio, by the way. Even if it's in your living room, your kitchen, call it your studio. Okay, you don't have to make it all fancy and gussied up. It's your workspace. Remember, it's your workspace. It's not meant to be a show space. It's not a stage. All right, it's not an act. It's where you go to work. So show them where you work, be proud of it, and let me show you the 3 things that I make sure I do before every open studio. So the very first thing I do is to make sure I sign the back of the painting. The name of the painting, the title, plus your name. So it's very, very clear. Okay, so they can see your name and find your name on the internet, right, or your website. On the other side, make sure you sign your name, your signature. Keep your signature the same. Don't keep changing it. Script one day and print the next day and a little logo and cute little cats. Don't do things like that. Just sign it, keep it consistent. That's your image. Also, when you sign your name, make sure it's well inside the border so the frames and mat does not cover up your name. All right? These are the simple things. I know you know these things, but you need to be reminded. So always sign it in the front. You don't have to put the Circle C, the copyright. You don't need, that's old. Don't put the date on the front. You put it on the back. Okay, let me show you the number 2. And so the second step is to gather up all the paintings that are on paper. And I've got a lot of them, especially if you paint every day. Gather them all up, make sure you sign them, varnish them. I'm not gonna frame them all. It's gonna be too expensive. So I put them in mats and those glassine envelopes. You know which ones I'm talking about. But let me show you what I do with these. I still make sure I sign them. Black ink for the light colored backgrounds and white ink for the dark colored backgrounds, okay? Make sure everything's signed and numbered. It's already in inventory. And then what do we do next? I put them in those clear plastic bags, okay? You know what they look like? Crystal clear bags, they're fantastic. They come in all the different sizes, and then they go into the mats, the wonderful mats. So you can present your mats any way you want to, any proportion, any way you want to. But I make sure there's a backboard, and on the backboard is the name again, and the number, and all the information about you, your QR code, your information, how to reach you, and let everybody know that this is an original painting, not a print. This is an original from you. Well, nice presentation, real professional, and you see the name. You don't cover up the name, remember that? Now, what about all those other pieces you want to mount on a board or a panel? Let me show you what I do. And this is the third thing that I do, getting the studio ready. I mount the larger paper pieces, my watercolor papers, on panels. You will notice a lot of the pieces behind me are actually paper pieces, gel medium glued onto wooden panels. Let me just show you quickly how I do all of that. I'm asked this question all the time. So here we have the painting already varnished. And it's watercolor paper, 300-pound Kilimanjaro from Cheap Joe's, right? So there's the back. Here's the panel. These are the panels that I paint the sides and about 1 inch in all the way around before I do anything else. It's those wooden panels. Fabulous, right? Everybody makes them. So I don't frame anything, but what I do is I make sure that I cut my paper or tear my paper so I can maintain that deckled edge, which I love so much. There's your deckled edge. So I tear the paper. I make sure that I have about 1/4 inch. You can have any dimension you want, but I like the 1/4 inch. It's a nice proportion. And it has a finished look without overly framing the piece. No glass, no matte, that's the advantage. So let me just show you the steps. All right, so I have a separate table away from all my paints with a big wide brush, and the glue that I use is a gel medium, a regular gel medium. Everybody makes regular gel medium. So put a lot on. I mean a lot on. I'm just mimicking this right now. Sometimes I'll hear someone say, well, I get bubbles. It's because, first of all, you didn't put enough gel medium on. So you got an air pocket in there. Put a lot on. It's the glue, it's all you got. Then I'll put it on the back of this in case I missed a spot. So double making sure, right? So I glue out gel medium on both surfaces. Now, it's not gonna dry right off the bat. You can take your time, align it all up to where I get it perfectly aligned all the way around. Paper towels will squeegee it out, or sometimes a roller. Starting from the center, always the center. Pushing the gel medium and the glue out. And if you put a lot on, some of it's going to come out the sides. And that's okay because you're going to wipe it off. It will dry optically clear. See? And you've already put a varnish on top of this, so it's protected. Even if you do get glue on top of this, you can just wipe it off. All water-based. See, now I have it all nice and flat. After that, I'll have to make sure it stays flat and doesn't peel up in the middle of the night, you know? So I have this plastic sheet. This is that same plastic I put on top of my tables. This is 4 mil thick plastic. It acts like a slip sheet. Put it on top of that so nothing's gonna stick on that. Then I have a piece of gator board or foam board. We all have a piece of gator board or a foam board in our studio, or a flat board. On top of that, I really want to make sure this stays nice and flat. And here comes the high-tech part of the program. A gallon bucket of water or that gel medium sits on top of that all night long. Don't start peeking. You don't want to move anything. So that's the low-tech technique of mounting paper onto a board. It works for me, and I can do about 3 or 4 or 5 of them in a morning. No frames, no mat, so I save some money right there. I hope you enjoyed these 3 techniques, getting yourself ready for your studio. Make a nice presentation, clean up your studio. Don't have food everywhere. They're not there to eat, they're here to see your beautiful creations. So comb your hair, brush your teeth, and have a great opening in your open studio. Take care. I'll see you at the next BobBlast.